In every season, there are victories and there are casualties. Unfortunately, Hull, Burnley and QPR were relegated, and Bournemouth, Watford and Norwich City will take their place. Now, the question is will they still be standing at the end of the new season? Well, we've got Lee Phelps, William Hill's in-play radio host, here on the line to answer just that. Now, the 2014-15 season saw Manchester City defending to keep their title, and newly promoted teams Leicester City, Burnley and QPR fighting to keep their Premier League place. Unfortunately, Burnley and QPR failed, but Leicester City finished the season in a respectable 14th place. So which of the three newly promoted teams have a better chance of survival?
Yeah, good question. I mean, you look over the recent years, and it has become, there is a formula, I think, to staying up. That kind of the teams who come up and they can maintain the same squad by and large and maintain that team spirit can get, attack. You don't have to go into the Premier League and attack all the big teams, but go in there and play your brand of football. Don't go in there and suddenly change tack. So I'm kind of thinking you look at what Bournemouth did. Fantastic last season. They were a joy to watch. Now, you would think to yourself, well, if they go in and play attacking, open, nice passing football, will they get ripped to bits? No, because Swansea is still in the Premier League, years after they made it up. So I think you have to be wary of the fact that you don't change too much. Bournemouth amassed 90 points in the Championship. They scored 98 goals. Now when they came up against Premier League teams in the FA Cup, for instance, last season, they were found out. But I think if they can maintain that brand of football and add a couple of quality players, then I think that they can stay in. Leicester this season, last season you mentioned Leicester as well. They stayed in almost by the skin of the teeth. There was a bit of team spirit. They had a torrid season though with problems off the pitch. I think they may struggle actually this time round. It's very difficult to back it up because the team spirit starts to drift. All that camaraderie that got you up into the Premier League and then carried you through the first season because it's you and your mates who got there. That starts to drift a little. Maybe it's because people want to earn more money. Maybe it's because their head's been turned by a different club. Maybe they're just not as happy as they were on the current deal. Maybe the shine of the Premier League starts to wear off a little bit. I think Leicester could have struggles. I wouldn't be surprised, and I like Nigel Pearson, the manager, but if they get off to a bad start, I wouldn't be surprised if Nigel Pearson's gone quite early in the season, unfortunately, for Leicester. They could have a long, hard season next year.
Well, right now the relegation odds do have the three promoted teams as the favourites to be relegated at the end of next season. Watford is the favourite to leave, 1.75 Ladbrokes, then Norwich 2.15, also Ladbrokes, and then Bournemouth 2.25 Ladbrokes, followed by Sunderland 3.25 at Bet365. So Sunderland is the only Premier League team here mentioned in the top teams here to leave. Who do you think will leave at the end of next season? I know it's early.
Yeah, it is, and lots can happen, can't it? But these people do start to think about it. The fixtures have just been released, and people start to wonder. I'm looking at Watford, and Watford obviously did great to finish second. It was a massive surprise that they did so well to finish second. I'm intrigued as to who they bring in. At the moment, they've brought in one player, 31-year-old Daniel Tozza from Parma in Serie A, central midfielder. I think they'll need more than that, personally. It's a big step up, and they've got some fantastic strikers in their team, but it's a big step up, and you don't know that you've got those strikers. You think about Burnley last season. Sam Vokes and Danny Ings were two of the best strikers in the Championship, bar none. Fantastic, the season they came up. Well, Sam Vokes picked up an injury. Danny Ings didn't quite do it. Obviously he's going to stay in the Premier League. He'll get, next season. They've lost him now, so he's a quality player. But you need to translate that form from the Championship. So I think Watford probably need to recruit more than the other two teams who've come up need to. Bournemouth, they've brought in Artur Boric, the goalkeeper from Southampton. Adam Frederici from Reading, good player. Obviously, he's a Championship standard player. He's 30 years old. Is he the kind of player you need in the Premier League? The other players they've brought in, Joshua King, a young left winger from Blackburn, and Christian Atsu, who could be a really interesting buy, right winger from Chelsea, only on loan. And that's what these teams need to do, of course, is make sure they're in the loan market, make sure they've got some fantastic players from other Premier League clubs. Maybe they're not experienced, but they've got something about them. Just to run through Norwich's signings so far, Graham Dorrans from West Brom. That's a good signing. He's got some Premier League experience, 28 years old, good player. Ricky van Wolfswinkel has joined them. Now, you think to yourself, well, Is he going to, he's on loan. Is he going to stay there? Is he going to come back? What's going to happen to him? He had a torrid time when he was there last time, remember? Couldn't score a goal. So maybe his second chance, if he comes back to the Premier League, could he do it? Kyle Lafferty as well. He's been over in Turkey. So they've got a few players who could maybe do something in the Premier League. But I think Norwich and Watford are the ones who could struggle. I see Bournemouth staying up. But you never know. There could be another one. It could be a Sunderland who get dragged into it. I'm still not convinced by Newcastle at the moment. I know they've got a new manager and things seem to be changing, but we'll have to see about that. I think a couple of other very quick ones. West Ham, I thought West Ham would struggle. They start their season, Natalie, I'm just looking at the date here, in about 2 weeks' time. Unbelievably. In the qualifying rounds of the Europa League because they won the Fair Play League in England. Now, they've got a new manager, of course, in Slaven Bilic, and a fantastic coach, but they're going to have a long, hard season. He hasn't had much time to prepare. So, they need to hit the ground running, I think, West Ham, to make sure they're not dragged into it. I say Sunderland, I think they'll probably be okay. Aston Villa, Tim Sherwood can turn them round maybe, but, maybe one or two more will get dragged into that bottom of the table. But if I had to pick three, God, that's hard, isn't it? If I had to pick three right now, I'd go Norwich, Watford, and Newcastle.
And Newcastle. All right. And then, so it looks like Bournemouth will survive out of the three promoted teams.
I think so. I love the way they play, and I think it will suit the Premier League. They'll have more time on the ball than they had in the Championship, so I think it'll suit them.
All right, wonderful. Lee Phelps, thank you for joining us today.
No problem.